Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. No face cam today. I was up way late and I look terrible. So we're just gonna throw up some scenes from the 2.3 Wuthering Waves preview slash live stream slash anniversary thing, whatever you want to call it. It was all of those, to be honest. I'll also put the codes up on the screen or in the pinned comments. So if you want to go check those out, you can do that. Um, it was interesting. I didn't watch it live, so I watched it after the fact, right? Which gave me a little bit of I guess foresight into what it would be, because I scrolled the YouTube comments before watching the full 2.3 live stream, and there were just a lot of unhappy people. Now, I know also that typically unhappy people are the ones who leave the most comments, right? Unless you're just a nice person and you're liking things, that's also chill. But the general consensus was that it was not perhaps the anniversary that people were hoping for or expecting. And I think that is likely because after Wuthering Waves launched, they made a very large effort to maintain players and send basically constant apology rewards for nearly every little thing that happened. And so, I feel like that set a precedent for most players that perhaps the 1 year anniversary, which for a gacha game is like the celebration that you should focus on. And maybe that fell flat in the eyes of some people. I did talk to my friend Kevin about it, and he was kind of mixed on certain stuff. Like some of it was disappointing, some of it was kind of interesting, some of it was kind of exciting. But ultimately, I got the feeling, and this is my interpretation, so nothing against Kevin, love you, Kev. It wasn't really groundbreaking. Like, it wasn't really something that was like, oh my god, did you see this? It was just kind of okay. And I think that's maybe the medium take to have on it, outside of just, oh, this was really bad, which a lot of players in the comments were kind of alluding to. But I watched the whole thing so that you don't have to. So here's the breakdown. We opened with the trailer that introduced Zani and Chikona? I don't know how to say her name, but she's the wind pistol bard lady. We got a better look into Zani's gameplay, as well as the wind bard, as I will call her now, so that I don't offend anybody with my terrible pronunciation. But Zani looks incredible. Like, utterly incredible. Straight up. I don't know. That's where all my polls are going towards. Okay, just keeping it a buck. Not that Bard Lady wouldn't also be kind of hype, but at the same time, like, Zani is a brawler, and she also has a giant shield and a giant sword. Like, that is made for me. Okay, that's hype. That is, if I were going to do a New Game Plus build in Elden Ring, that is what I would go with. Okay, that's where I'm at. So everything else looked really good, character-wise for the 2.3, but that again is just standard new version stuff. It wasn't anything anniversary related, really. I think Zani's new mode is really cool. I think the clone effect that Bard Lady has is also pretty hype. It seemed like they were maybe using her to take a new character story approach situation. I wasn't really clear on that, but Zani does have her own companion story, which is also pretty good, right? Overall, I think that was pretty standard. So nothing really hit, or nothing really to miss on that one. It was all pretty much just hits, right? Then we had the events, which it's just a lot of cubes, is what I gathered from what I had watched. There's the Cubey event. There's the Cubey Derby. which has its own rewards and stuff like that. But we'll talk about that later. And just general events for the anniversary that you might or might not be excited about. They are doing like a revamp of the roguelike event, which Dreaming Deep is what it's called now. We're also getting new Phantom Echoes, and then just standard login stuff as well. They did go over the banners, though, before I gloss over that. There's the Zani Convene. Then there's the Anniversary Part 1 Convene. And that features a various amount of characters you can pull. Then there's Bard Lady, right? And then another Anniversary Convene. And I believe what I understood was that the rate between the two Anniversary Convenes stays the same. So you don't lose pity when it shifts from one to the other. However, there are still 50-50s on that. Take that for what you will. That doesn't really feel like an anniversary banner. That feels more like a rerun banner that just has more options on it. And maybe that's me overly complaining or something. I don't know. But that is generally how I feel about it. It doesn't really feel that special. It maybe if it didn't have the 50-50, that could be one thing. But yeah, in a patch that already has a fair amount of desirable characters, I would say, not to mention upcoming characters, which I think they alluded to Cartethia being in 2.4 at the very end, but I'll mention that later. There's a lot that you could spend your polls on, and as far as I'm aware, the total polls that we're getting for the quote-unquote anniversary is like 30. Could be a little bit more, but like that's not a lot for what presumably like okay, I won't say everyone, but most people have been waiting for Zani. Okay, most people have been waiting for her because she's dope and she's badass, and we love that. And they also basically call her Batman at one point. She's like an after-hours crime fighter in the streets of Raguna, which is kind of wild, but cool and welcome. They then went on to like talk about some player stats, which they even went down to like how much coin you've spent on shops in the game, where you're like buying medicine items and stuff like that. Like it was very in depth. If you want the full breakdown on that, I'd recommend going to watch it. I kind of zoned out, to be honest. I didn't really care about all that. But some of the Echo combat stats were kind of interesting. Overall, that's just exciting for devs, I think, to look at numbers like that. But maybe you did too. I don't know. I may be in the minority on that. They then went on to have like a whiteboard section where it was basically just putting up cards of things that they mentioned for the anniversary and all this stuff. So we're getting a Flight Wings skin. That's one. We're getting a main Echo stat modifier. So the main stat on Echoes, you can now pick which stat you want, which I talked to Kevin a little bit about this too, because I was underwhelmed at first, because I was like, okay, well, substats are the main issue for me though. So now I think the process is likely you just level up everything, and whatever has the best substats, you either keep the main stat if it's good, and then you basically don't reroll anything, or you take the best substat with the main stat that you don't want, and you change that. We also kind of chatted a little bit about what that means for the Echo Recycler function, where you do the 5-for-1 kind of deal. I don't know if that has a lot of value anymore, to be honest with you. I think once they started basically giving you your tuners back from recycling the Echoes that you've leveled up and using them as experience for new Echoes, I think once they started doing that the multiplier thing kind of lost some of its purpose. But again, I may be missing the sauce on that. But anything to help with optimizing echoes, typically appreciated. They also announced that there will be no cooldowns for bosses moving forward, which is kind of nice. They're implementing a birthday feature with it, which if your birthday has already happened, that's okay. You can log in and get it immediately. But you basically get a cake from a resonator of your choice. You get a little crown that you run around with for the day, and then also the musicians in Raguna will play a melody for you, which is happy birthday. Spoilers. They're revamping the returnee event, which I don't think really affects continuing players. So I don't know. That seemed like a please come back to our game situation. Not really something for continuing players, which frankly helped you get to the first anniversary. So there's that. They're implementing a glossary feature. They're doing a PC package optimization, so it's less to download. They're upgrading ray tracing, which is something you may care about on PC. They also announced that the Steam version is coming, I think in 2.4. So I think we got PlayStation 5 in 2.0. Now we're getting Steam in 2.4. Anniversary event, you're getting a single a single login 10 pull, where you just log in on the 22nd, I think, and you get a 10 pull. That's kind of cool. And then also, I think it's some resonator icon or something, or some skin for, I don't know. But that one wasn't really that important, I'm gonna be honest. The refresh banner, they refreshed the beginner 5-star pick thing for new players, because that is ending in May for the first year. So if you haven't redeemed that, they warned you, hey, make sure you do that. But they're also refreshing it for new players that join after 4.2, I guess. So cool for new players. They're resetting the top up though. Don't worry. From when you inevitably spend money, there you go. You get double stuff, which again is not, that's not every player that's gonna do that. So there was some stuff for continuing players. Don't get me wrong, but that was for everybody. They're also singling out stuff for people who spend, which is not always ideal for the majority of players. And then they're also kind of pandering to new players coming in, which is good for the game, but again, doesn't really help the players who have stood by you for a year now. So I was a little mixed on that. Like, I'm not upset, and I'm just like, okay, but what about, like, where's the big hook for everybody, right? There are rerunning an event to get previous quote-unquote rare rewards. So like the weapon skins and stuff like that came with things. Yeah, that the Blossom event, the Spring event, stuff like that. Shiny Echoes. That was a thing. Again, not really helping anything but new players or people who missed it, maybe. And then they also said that, hey, we're actively updating and optimizing new stuff. So, be excited about that, I guess. Okay. They also did go into, like, a little bit of detail. 2.4. They're bringing skins, baby. Changli and Carlotta, they're getting skins. They are not holding back anymore. Which, man, I don't know what the deal is, but I feel like gacha games should just have more skins in general. You know what I mean? Like, am I crazy for that? I feel like games like Star Rail, Genshin, Wuthering Waves, like any game that has a skins feature, they should be utilizing it more frequently. I don't know why they don't. That seems crazy to me. Don't have people spend money on new polls. Have them spend money on like cosmetics. Like that feels better in my opinion, because you're guaranteed to get what you're spending for, right? That's always the trade-off that I have in my head. Spending $100 and getting nothing still is it feels real bad. They also said that there's going to be an outfit redemption voucher. It doesn't seem like it makes the outfit free. I think it takes 300 off of the discount price. But I think that means you still have to spend to get it, because I don't think the outfits at discount are 300. But maybe they are, and I'm misremembering the Jinsei stuff. I'm not sure. I genuinely don't remember. And then towards the very end, they were like, "Oh, we're getting we're gonna bring you like the devs' perspective on the game after a year." They announced some kind of title photography thing, which I don't really care about photography events or anything in relation to that, because realistically, and if you're unaware of this, let me break the fourth wall for you real quick. Anytime they do a photography event or any kind of photography recruitment for in-game stuff, it's just you doing what is basically free marketing for the game. They want you to take pictures in the game, because the instinct then is to share them online. So they just want you posting about the game for them without really giving you anything for it. Which is fine. Like, if you're into that, that's cool. But I don't know. I've just never been a big photo mode guy. And then the purpose of it all is really to just promote the game for them, rather than do things in the game that makes it promotable on its own. So I have very mixed feelings on photo stuff, but that's there too. They also announced a new wave of merch. So if you're into that, that's cool. It's there for you. And then they announced a Cyberpunk Edge Runners collab event that's happening soon in 2026. If that's hype for you, that's hype for you. That's cool. I'll be interested in how they handle IP collabs, because I don't have a lot of experience with gachas doing IPs that I play heavily. There are some, obviously, that have had crossovers, that most of which, frankly, have already had end of service that I have played. So that is what that is. But I'll be interested in seeing how they implement that. That'll be cool. And then they saved the very last bit by they made it. I don't know if I'm just, again, missing the sauce. Maybe they built up this whole. Wait, I have one more thing. Cartethia's adventure continues in 2.4 with a brand new map, and we're like, I was like, yeah, and that's how they ended it. I almost felt like they should have ended on the Cyberpunk collab announcement, to be honest with you, because I mean, look, we all know you introduce a character like Cartethia, you're gonna make her playable, right? Otherwise, that's money on the table. You're just leaving. Okay, so we as players, without leaks or anything like that, we know that is coming eventually. We've been very much trained to think that. So I assumed that there was a new map and a Cartethia arc coming at some point in the future regardless. Maybe the big catch was that it was happening in 2.4, which is only one patch after 2.3, which is coming soon on April 29th. Like that, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But it felt like a very lackluster finish for me. I don't know if anybody else felt like that. Feel free to let me know in the comments. But it didn't really feel like a big moment to end on. So, again, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm the one lost in the sauce on this, but it didn't seem that hype. It just didn't. 30 polls is cool, I guess. If that's where we're at. It seems a little crazy to only do, a third of a guaranteed 5-star or so at a time where you're releasing at least one really major character that people have been excited about since the beginning of 2.0. And then throwing on anniversary banners that are basically just rerun banners that you can pick the rate up on. I don't know. It didn't feel special in that regard. I mean, there's some cool free cosmetics, like the birthday stuff is cool. That's chill. The wings flyer skin, like that's cool. I thought genuinely we should have had that already. I also genuinely think that we should be able to fly in other regions. I don't think that should be Raguna locked, but that's, you know, I'm sure there's some coding preventing them from doing that. Otherwise, I genuinely think that the dev team would have done that already if it weren't a slightly heavier lift, maybe. But again, maybe they're just using that as a way to make that region special and locking it out of other places to make the other places feel worse to explore. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But it was a bit of a miss for me. I am excited about certain aspects, but I think overall it was just kind of a meh. And when you're doing a 1-year anniversary, I think you need people hyped as hell to go out and talk about the game online, share about it in DMs and in Discord servers, and talk about it on videos and be like, the devs listened, but no one's really gonna do that. At least not with, I think, a great amount of enthusiasm. So I don't know. Like I said, it feels like a slightly more involved regular update. And for a 1-year anniversary, I don't know if that's it, Chief. I don't think that's it. But again, maybe I'm the problem. I don't know. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm expecting too much in this economy. I don't know. But let me know your thoughts. I appreciate you guys checking this out and listening to me rant for like 20 minutes. But hey, I saved you another hour 10, if that's chill. Oh, also, there's, I think, a Scottish Royal Orchestra or something like that. They did like a 10-minute run through of songs from 1.0 to current. So that's cool. If you want to check that out, that's worth listening to. I feel like I would genuinely get struck on YouTube if I put that in here. So you'll have to venture out on your own for that. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. And I will see you in the next one.